about creating mountains where the valleys used to be. And all the things I thought I knew were changing like the sea. Yeah. But I found
Hello, Happy New Year. I know I have been MIA for a bit. I got really busy after the new year and time just flew by. I will tell you more about what I have been up to later. Today I want to show you a tour of my sewing studio. Let's get started. Let me show you what the studio looked like before. So I'm going to start with this wall. Let's get closer to the shelf on the wall. I will get back to the sewing machines in a bit. This shelf came with the house and I thought it might be a good idea to repurpose it and use it as a display shelf in my studio. I have things like a jar of beads, a couple of jars of buttons. I have ribbons over there, and an old radio on top of there, and other bits and pieces that I thought would be nice to display. On the other side of the shelf, I have my sewing thread rack. This is two racks that we hung up on a wall to hold my threads so they're easy to get a hold of. I like how this saves floor space. And then I have my work table. Remember the table that I was working on 2 videos ago when I was putting together the shelf from Target, and I decided to scrap that because it wasn't stable enough. So we decided to use a sawhorse, a custom built sawhorse as its table legs. We used a couple of 2x4s to construct it. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It's very sturdy and it works for what I need it for. So under the table I have a couple of things. I'm using some plastic Tupperware to store my fabric. They're so filled up and I can barely close them. So I'm not even going to show you a close-up of them, but I use them to store my fabric and they fit really good under the table. So that's my current fabric storage till I find something better. And then on this side of the table, like, I'm storing something called a weaving loom. I bought a small one from Facebook Marketplace. I haven't really used it much because I have been busy with other things, but once I start using it, I will show you how it works and what I make with it. Back to my work table. On this work table I have this green mat. It's a cutting mat and it protects the work surface from getting cuts from scissors and knives. Right now my work table surface is an odor. It works really well. Over here I have some measuring tools, like this ruler. It's transparent, so it's a little hard to see, but I have this rectangular ruler and the square ones. They serve different purposes. I also have a measuring tape. Oops. Come on. Alright, so I have a measuring tape. I think it goes all the way to I don't know if you can see that, but it goes all the way to 287 inches. And I have my clips, the plastic clips that I use for keeping fabric together while I sew them. My workspace is usually a little messy like this because I'm always cutting stuff. I have this cute fabric book that I made for storing my sewing needles, so that's easy to see and pick out. I have the small ones here, the bigger ones here, and the really big curved tapestry needle at the back. Really cute. Alright, I have a couple of cutting tools. I have the regular fabric scissors, and I have something called pinking shears. As you can see, it has some jagged edges, and that helps to cut the fabric using that pattern. I'll show you. See how zigzaggy the edges, so this helps to keep the fabric from fraying. If you don't want to sew it up, you just use that to cut it. And then I have some polished stones that I found outside in the yard that I've been using to hold my fabric in place when I cut it so it doesn't move. This is a rotary cutter. It's like a pizza slicing thing. So I use it to cut fabric on this mat. So that's where this mat comes into play, because if I use this on my regular tabletop, you would destroy it. So, but this is good for cutting more than one layer of fabric at once. Let me show you. I already cut one piece, but let me show you. So I put the pattern here and I use this trusty stone to hold it in place. And then I use this to cut it like a pizza. I probably need to change out the blade because I've used it a couple of times, but he cut it out and I was able to cut 2 pieces of fabric at once. Over here I have this wrist pillow thing that I made for my fabric pins. It makes it easier to take out the pin, put it in the fabric, and then put it back here and have it all in one place. So this is my storage wall. Remember the shelf that I was using for the work table legs? I ended up using them for storage, which is what they were built for in the first place. Let's get a closer look. So above the shelf I have the storage box that I'm using to store embroidery supplies. And then I have some art supply stuff. I dabble in sketching and painting when I have the time, which is one of the things I should do more of. And then I have this cute little bunny that I had a coworker 3D print for me. Really cute. And then on this side I have some books. I have drawing books, sewing books. These are like pretty much sewing books all over here. I divided the shelves into two sections. One shelf for art stuff and one shelf for sewing stuff. So on this side I have a bunch of art supplies, colored pencils, scrapbooks that I use for sketching stuff on, for sewing. I have an easel which was a Christmas gift, and I like to display it over here to remind me to use it. I have a couple of old antique looking picture frames, some coloring books, and other art supplies. Oh, this is the project that I used those beads I showed you earlier for. It's a little bead pouch, and then I added zippers to it. It still has some pennies in there, but I think I need to wash it and then put it back in my purse. And then on this side I have mostly sewing supplies. I have my portable sewing box, some old fabric scissors. Oops. Patterns that I made, and books on weaving loom. And then I have a bunch of threads here. I have this box filled with old sewing patterns that I bought for $25 on Facebook Marketplace. I need to go through them and see which ones I can use. And then down here I have more stones that I collected. I have more stones I collected down around the yard for holding my fabric in place. And then there's this box with a lot of sewing tchotchkes, old rotary cutter. I have some elastic and a bunch of other things in here that I need once in a while in my sewing projects. And now we can talk about the sewing machines. So Over here I have a P5130. I call it a blender. It's an industrial strength sewing machine for times when I want to sew something like denim folded 8 times or something like that. It's really good for heavy duty sewing. I apologize for the bad lighting in here. It's something I'm still working on in the studio to get better light. But here I have water. It's a serger. It's good for finishing seams and doing things like this. And then behind water I have Bruno. Bruno was a gift, and it's a brother sewing machine. I use it for regular light to medium weight sewing and mending. And this is Rosemary. It's a thread sewing machine, meaning that it's controlled by a lever on the feet, which I'll be showing you in a bit. It's from a brand called The Free, and I got it from Facebook Marketplace about 2 years ago. It's really heavy, but it's fun to work with. Here's the feet on Rosemary, and I operate it by moving the grid over there back and forth, and that helps it sew. So under here I have this basket that I use for storing scrap fabric. It's here with a bunch of little fabric pieces that I hope to reuse again later, but it's good to have them here so that I can fetch them when I need them. And now the last two sewing machines. This black little guy is Sissy. It's a Singer featherweight that I got as a gift. I'm so grateful for all the gifts I've gotten from people to help me put the studio together. And this is Fergus. It's a brother sewing machine. It's the first big girl sewing machine I got myself in 2013. It's still working and has a lot of fun stitches on it. Now, about this table that I'm using for the sewing machines, I also bought from Facebook Marketplace. I should take a break from going there and buy so much good stuff from there. But this was $50. I really like the beautiful art paintings on it. It gives it a very, romantic touch. And then also this chair I got from Big Y. I got it as a set. Might have been a dining chair. But it's pretty good. I use one on my PC area for work, and I use one for sewing. I feel so grateful to have this space where I could sit and be surrounded by my sewing machines and look outside the window and be inspired to create more. And last but not least is my ironing section. So over here I have a couple of things. An iron, of course, an ironing board, so I can bring up this ironing board or lower it depending on what position I'm in. When I'm standing, I usually bring it up a little bit so it's more comfortable. And over here I have this small iron from Cricut. I use that for tiny ironing things that require precision. And over here I also have something called a tailor's ham. I still need to stuff it a little more because it feels flat, but I will show you what it's supposed to be used for. I made a second one. This really looks like a real ham. I hope. And here I have something called a tailor's clapper. This was also a gift and I'm so grateful for this. So this tailor's clapper is something you use when you're ironing something heavy and you don't want to leave your iron on top of the fabric for too long because it will burn the fabric, so you iron for a bit to add the heat to the iron. To add the heat to the fabric. And then you use this clapper to hold it in place, so this piece of wood will trap the heat to the fabric so that the ironing work will continue. And then when you're done, you take it out and then the fabric is so nice and crispy. So if I left the iron on it for a long time, it would have burned the fabric. And now the tailor's ham, I'm gonna use this one. So it's for when you need to iron something like sleeves or curved areas in a fabric and you don't want to iron it flat on the ironing board because you want to keep the curved shape like a sleeve or like the length of pants, so you can put it on like this and then you can iron it like that, and that way the seams are not going to be ironed flat. Really nice, right? So I stuffed this with sawdust. It took a lot of sawdust, but I still need to do a little more so it can be really full and rigid. So that's my ironing section. And then on this side of the wall I have my standing mirror. I also thrifted this from Facebook Marketplace. 90% of things in the studio either thrifted or gifted. So that's my studio. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Bye.